Today I'm going to walk you through how to build a custom wooden gate for your fence. Believe it or not, it's simple, and you don't have to build this exact design. At the very least, I hope it gives you some inspiration to create your own design after you see just how not complicated it actually is. You can build this any size you want. I've built a smaller version, and this is the largest version that I've built. So let's start with the concept of what it is we're building. Essentially, it's a few rows of 1x6s secured together with some 1x4 trim pieces on the outside. Secure some hinges to 4x4 posts, throw on a gate latch, and you have a custom built gate. So let's get started. First, a few quick tips to make your project go smoothly. You need pressure treated wood, and this is non-negotiable. This wood is specifically treated to withstand outdoor elements, and it's critical to the longevity and structural integrity of your build. It's also readily available at your local hardware store. I mentioned this is made from 1x6s and 1x4s, but modern 1x6s are only 5.5 inches wide, not 6 inches. 1x4s and 4x4s are only 3.5 inches wide. This is very important when measuring for your project. If you draw this out on paper using the standard names as measurements, you'll be wildly off when it comes time to put it together. And finally, it's important to let your wood sit outside for about 30 days prior to staining it or painting it. This has to do with the moisture and the bending, bowing that your wood will do after you bring it home. And it definitely won't take the paint or the stain the way that it should. That said, let's look at some of the basic materials you'll need. You'll need at least 2 4x4s for your posts, 1x6s, and the quantity completely depends on the size of the gate that you're going to build. 1x4s for the trim, and again, the quantity is going to depend how big your gate is. Post hole digger or shovel, but I highly recommend a post hole digger. Concrete mix, power drill, exterior wood screws. I use both 2.5 and 3-inch screws here. Circular saw, speed square, sandpaper or power sander, Bondo or some type of wood filler to cover your screw holes, your paint or stain, and a paintbrush, level, tape measure, and definitely some wood glue. Now let's start with setting your posts. My fence is going to be about 6 feet tall and about 3 feet wide. So given that size, I wanted my posts to go about 3 feet below the ground to ensure a stable gate that won't wobble. If yours is going to be a little bit smaller or you're not dealing with a frost line, you can likely get away with only going 2 feet, but the deeper the better, and it's easy just to dig out another foot. It's also important to be very careful when digging. I unexpectedly ran into this irrigation line that was running alongside my property. This was quite a disappointment as I wanted the gate to go over further, but I couldn't without rerouting this line, and I was not interested in doing that. And on the other side, I actually cut the wire. Luckily it was dead, but unless you're positive you know what's underground, dig slowly and carefully. Now this isn't entirely necessary, but if you have some crushed rock or concrete, you can put it at the bottom of the hole prior to setting your posts to help with the stability and so that the soft dirt doesn't shift on you too much. Once you've got the depth that you need, set the post in and we'll add the cement mix. I do what is called a dry pour. It's where you don't pre-mix the concrete, but you simply put it in dry and then add water, allowing it to harden just like that. I know the internet trolls will tell me this is terrible, but I promise it's fine. I've been doing this for years, and you can just pour in the mix, add some water, pack it down tight, and it's going to harden just fine. I also live in Florida where the amount of rainwater and moisture that we get in the ground will absolutely harden these and cure these no problem. I didn't use it, but I do recommend Quickcrete, which sets in about 30 minutes. That way it gives your posts a minimal amount of time to shift on you. But once the posts are set and the concrete is in, use a level or a post level to get them straight. It's also a really good idea to add temporary braces to both sides of the post so that they don't slowly sink or shift, and so that they stay parallel all the way up, which gives you a nice even spacing on both sides. Now after the posts have set, it's time to double check the length of your horizontal pieces. I secured a hinge and placed it on the post as a test. And I actually found that I wanted about 1 inch longer to close the gap. So you'll need about a 1/2 inch gap on either side, and that's so that you can secure the latch to the sides of the posts without it impeding the gate. If the gate butts up too closely to the posts, it won't close. So give yourself about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch gap between the gate and the posts on either side. This also helps it swing open and closed freely and gives the wood a little bit of space to move and bend and bow as it's likely going to. But next you'll want to cut the 1x6s into the total amount that you need. I believe I use a total of 13 pieces to get the height right around 6 feet. Cut them all the same length, but they don't have to be perfect. The beauty of the trim is that it will cover up any imperfections. Next, you'll want to cut your 1x4 trim pieces to fit around the border on both sides. On the front, I have nothing but the outer border, give it a nice clean look. On the back, I have the diagonal supports that are also 1x4s. While these diagonal supports are somewhat decorative, they're designed to prevent your gate from sagging, and they need to be pointed so that the bottom of the support is closest to the hinge and it rises to the top of the gate on the opposite side of the hinges. This ensures proper counterweight to the downward force that the weight of the gate places on the hinges. And the outer trim is quite simple. It's done by just measuring the length that you need and cutting 45-degree angles into them so that you can join the pieces seamlessly. Now these diagonal supports are going to be a little bit different and just take some measuring by hand to make sure that the corners line up given their length and width. And these will all be different angles and sizes depending on the length and the width of your gate. But now you want to secure the trim to the wood on a hard, flat surface. I'm a huge fan of overbuilding because there's nothing that bothers me more than a sagging gate or one that just doesn't close or open properly. Now here's where you'll want to add your wood glue to prevent it from bending and bowing. And I put at least 2 screws through the trim into each horizontal piece. This makes for a bit of work later when filling in the holes, but I care more about the functionality than the looks or the work that I have to do. So putting 2 screws in each of the 1x6s is gonna help keep it up and not sag. Next, I attach the diagonal supports also with wood glue. I put 1 screw through the support into each horizontal piece again, further ensuring that these horizontal boards are not going to drop or sag over time. Now I use a laser level to trim off about a 1/2 inch of the entire gate all the way around. This is to get it as clean and straight as possible, but frankly this is optional. You may not want or need to do this, but it does keep the entire gate and the entire fence looking nice and uniform. Now you could stain or paint all of these pieces prior to putting them together. That's probably the better route, but I didn't go that route because I knew that I'd have a lot of fixes to do afterwards, so I figured I would just tape it and paint it at the end. But once the gate is built, it's time to prepare it for staining or painting. I'm a big fan of painting over staining for a few reasons, but one is that it is more protective, and another reason is that it hides your fill holes and your gaps much better than stain does. I use Bondo wood filler to fill in the corner gaps and the screw holes, and it's inevitable the corners will bend over time, but when that happens I'll come back and add some flexible caulk or sealant to it to make sure that the gap doesn't come back. In the meantime, my wood was a little bit too warped and the gaps were too big to use just caulk. Now to get a seamless look and to ensure water doesn't penetrate the gaps and start to rot the fence from the inside out, you'll want to caulk all of the trim pieces. This is easy and it only takes a minute, but it's important for the longevity and it helps it paint and look better. Once you've done that, sand off all of the excess Bondo, rinse or wipe the sawdust off completely, and now it's time to paint or stain after you've let it dry completely as well. Now I painted it all one color at first, and that was just to give it a nice uniform coating. But once the whole gate is painted, I taped off my trim and I give it the second color. And the two colors are actually toasty gray and asphalt gray. The toasty gray is the whiter color and the asphalt gray is the more gray color. Now here's a trick to getting straight paint lines. After you've taped off the entire trim area, repaint the wood the same base color. This will fill in any of the gaps of the tape and prevent bleeding through the tape. If it does bleed through, you'll never know it because it's all the same color that bled through first. Then, with the same tape in place, paint the trim. All of your gaps and bleeding points would have hopefully closed up, so you get a clear straight line with the new color. It's not perfect, and with wood it's a little bit hard because of the texture, but it will certainly help. Now that you're all built and painted, it's time to hang it. I use 4 hinges because my gate is quite heavy, but more importantly, and again, I hate sagging gates, so the more hinges I have, the better. I also install it so that it swings inward, but the direction you want it to swing matters greatly. For instance, some states have laws that say if you have a swimming pool, the gate must swing out to avoid a child pushing it open and falling in your pool and drowning. So please be sure to check or consider things like that prior to deciding if you want it to swing in or out. If you have it swing out, it's more of a space-saving design. If you have it swing in, people consider it more of a safety because you can pin it shut if somebody's trying to force their way in. Up to you, but consider your different options. Now, if you're doing this yourself, you're going to want to place a piece of wood or a brick or something at the base of the post so that you can rest the gate on it as you hang it. Be sure that whatever it is you're resting it on is the exact height that you want the bottom of the gate to sit. Place the level somewhere on the gate or have someone else checking the level to ensure that you're securing it properly. Because of all the horizontal pieces, it will be noticeable if you secure it at a bit of an angle, and you definitely don't want that. But once you secure all of your hinges, it's time to add the latch. This is incredibly easy, and depending on the one that you buy, simply follow the instructions. I recommend putting the post latch on first and then lining up the gate and adding the latch bar only after you know exactly where the gate and the post latch are going to sit. This will ensure a perfect fit. And folks, that's it. You likely need to do some paint or stain touch-ups after installing it, but that's normal. I also used a Sawzall to cut off the excess post on either side, so that's optional, but also helps give it a nice clean look. So overall, I hope this was helpful, and I hope you can draw some inspiration behind your gate build, but most importantly, I hope you see just how easy it is. I hope this was helpful. Reach out anytime with questions or concerns, and have a great day.